right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. The discussion starts right now. We are calling it State of Health Care. I would like to hear your views. What is ailing our health sector and what are the possible solutions? At Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Daybreak. We're having this conversation at a time when we're also seeing on the front page of the dailies there's a rogue quartet in toxic sugar scam, mystery of dirty sugar. I have doctors with me in studio, so I'll find out from them what is the impact of having what is called dirty sugar or poisonous sugar on the shelves and how that directly impact you. Let me introduce my guest real quick. Dr. Davji Atela is joining us from Kigali. He's the KMPDU Secretary General. Thank you so much for making time. Dr. Simon Kigondu is also here, KMA President, that is the Kenya Medical Association President. Asante sana for making time. And Honorable James Nyikal, Member of Parliament for Seme and also a member of the Health Committee at the National Assembly. Thank you very much for making time. Send in your views at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. Let's talk about the ailing health sector and how this can be sorted out. But first off, and I'll start with you on this, Honorable Nyikal. We see rogue quartet in toxic sugar scam. This is on the front page of the Daily Nation. 2 MPs and 2 top government officials are said to have orchestrated the release of the condemned consignment in what appears to have been a well-coordinated syndicate to enrich a few individuals without a care about the damage this poison would cause to the health of Kenyans. What is your view on this issue here now that it's implicating some 2 members of parliament?
Well, I think they take the blame as individuals. I wouldn't say look at it as a member of parliament. It is actually quite sad that there are 2 members of parliament, because this matter was actually in parliament, I think 2-3 years ago.
2018, yes.
Yeah, 2018. I don't know who these 2 are. They haven't said so. So I don't know whether they were in parliament then. But if they were, and even if they were not, I'm sure it was such a widespread issue. It was so widespread in the news, and so they must have known. Then to come in as the main oversight representing the people, it makes it very, very, very unacceptable. And then the government officials, I'm sure if they're top government officials, it's most likely they were in government at the time. Even if they were not, they knew. And then they go ahead. It just shows. Trevor, let me tell you, what we have here is a state. You know, we don't have a nation. We don't feel for the nation, for the people. If you say Kenya, do people feel some allegiance, something deep at heart, that this is where we live, we can't hurt it. It is our environment, they are our institutions. The people that are going to use this are our people. Even if this thing was re-exported, still people are going to buy. So there's something we are missing. The feeling that we belong, we must protect for us.
Yeah.
You know the difference between a state and a nation? A state is just constitution and the laws, the structures that are put in place, and they are hard and dry in the statutes and in the papers. But in my view, a nation is where you feel you belong, you want to protect, you want it to grow, you feel for the people. Now, that is what is lacking.
Yeah.
And again, also, our institutions that are in charge of this. This is something that happened, as we say, 2018. The decision was that these were to be destroyed. Or there were other options now that I know. But at that time, what I knew is that these things were found to be contaminated. I think it was mercury was one of the things, which is a very toxic thing. And where the effect also takes quite a bit of time. And it will even affect even newborn babies if they're taken by mother who are pregnant. And now, why are these things still there?
Yeah. And
I was reading, it was sounding sad, that all the locks and whatever security systems were intact. And then when they opened them, they were surprised.
Yeah.
You know, like the people who went to the tomb of Jesus. They went and they didn't, it was empty.
Yeah.
That is an inside job.
Yeah.
So it is once again lack of consideration for our own people at whatever level.
Yeah.
I think this issue of looking for wealth at any cost. It's a freak. We have to just get rid of. I hope our institutions that take charge of these things, why were they not destroyed? Even if they were wanted to convert them into industrial alcohol, why was it not done? And even that, I'm not sure, because a thing like mercury, even if you were to actually go through the distillation process, I'm not so sure you would still get alcohol that is not contaminated. That's something that, in my view, the best thing would have been just to destroy them, as it were. It sounded expensive, but what is the cost of life? Yeah, if many people die, what is the cost of that? So, and even those who are to destroy them, those institutions like KEBS that knew where they were, what were they waiting for? In this country, things come as a surprise, but they are such a large magnitude that you wonder, how could it happen? Look at Shakahola. I mean, those guys, they were being buried. Who was burying them? And nobody knew. In a country where even if your in-laws come to visit you, there are only 5, the system will know, the chief will know, the assistant chief will know. So that is on that side. On this side, these were things that were there. There's supposed to be 1 million kilograms.
Yes, 20,000 50 kg bags.
Yes. How? It's not one bag that you can put in a small bag and walk away with. It must be very well orchestrated. So it shows our belief in ourselves and our systems, how they work, and do we really care? And what I wonder, when we have got this money, what do we do with it?
Let me bring in Dr. Kigondu on this. Kigondu, what is the long-term effect of using contaminated sugar, medically speaking?
Thank you very much, Trevor, for hosting us today. I have been a chairman of a technical committee at KEBS. It's called KEBS TC69 on towels, medical and hygienic textiles. And Kenya Medical Association sent me as a representative. And the reason they chose me as a chair is because I have no interest. As a medical association, we have people who are suppliers in the committee. Decisions at KEBS are arrived at by a consensus. And therefore, we will be looking at this more often, how do you strengthen institutions so that they do the right thing? And I can safely tell you, go to KEBS 69, look for any scandal. You might not get. And we've had very big debates on some of the issues. And during COVID, in fact, we had, there's a lot of push and pull. A lot of problems with facilities is when the person with power tells you to do ABCD, and I think this will repeat itself in KEMSA, in KEBS. What is it, what is the power of the person who has been assigned that duty to do? So that is where we lie. The effects of toxic sugar is known. When the report came out of toxic sugar, we all saw it at KEBS. It was very obvious. But the behind-the-scenes push and pull is eventually what has led to this. So I think, in my view, getting the right institution to nominate the right people to the right committees, and also giving the institution the ability to execute what it has made decisions on is a problem. Because KEBS will argue they are not the ones to dispose of. They have done their tests and actually said. So we need to find out who was the one supposed to dispose of and who was influenced. Let
me bring in Dr. Davji on this. Dr. Davji, where did we drop the ball in your view? Is it the structures that have a problem? Because like Dr. Nyikali is saying, this was condemned in 2018. It disappears 5 years later. So what was it doing all this time?
You know, Trevor, the reality is that our leaders and our people who are in power, regardless of what level of power, whether it is management, whether it's elected positions, they all go for profit over the people that are supposed to serve. And that's why they will go to every mile to ensure that they have these profits rather than the services. And they all play ignorance of the same. Because you see, on this toxic sugar thing, that has been released over 50,000 kg, over 20,000 tons of 50 kgs. It's already out. It's been consumed by the public. The toxicity profiles of mercury is known, and people will there will be results from it. And these will actually result into some of the conditions that people will be treated in the hospitals. But in reality, when these people are releasing these, to them at that point is the profit, the money they're getting from these particular sugars that are going to release. So it is just the profit that all these people are seeing over the people that they're supposed to serve. And the system has been created such that all these things that we act on are reactionary after they have taken place. Though I must really give the government on this one action that was positive, because immediately we saw people for the first time being removed from office, which is a good thing. But then it's reactionary because the impact of these sugars being released has already been done. So ideally, we need to put people into account in different offices and in different boards so that such actions cannot be repeated. But ideally, it is just that people go to these offices and realizing that, oh, these sugars are being kept here, so how do you get them out from this point? So all this public outcry that comes with any scandals or any planned things is that there is a deliberate actions that the leaders that are put in those offices are looking at how do they make money out of all those things. Meaning they're ready to kill, they're ready to murder, they're ready to do anything just to gain profit from these institutions that they serve in. Right. That's what comes out from this thing.
All right. Now let's talk about the state of healthcare, because this is the main conversation that we're having. It's just related because this too leads to people's health being compromised. But Dr. Nyikal, what is ailing the healthcare system in this country in your assessment? I know you've been a committee member for a while, you've been a doctor yourself. What is the problem?
I've been in the ministry.
Yeah, also in the ministry.
I've been in the ministry. Yeah. I've been in KEMSA, yeah, where he is now. As I said, the country is one, and the leadership is the same, and the ethos. I think where we are is the ethos of the nation.
Yeah.
What do people believe in? This is the problem. So what you are seeing in health is not very different from what you are seeing in this sugar thing, although it is a health. I don't think it's very different from what we are seeing in Sakawala. I don't think it's different from what we are seeing in the security system. People take positions in government with the idea of actually benefiting themselves at any cost. I think that is where we start from. So when people take these positions, they are not thinking of what contribution am I going to make? Am I going to really make a change? They are thinking, how am I going to benefit? I think in Kenya, when somebody is in senior positions, people tend to think of what house has he has, what car is he driving, what schools are their kids. That is the basic thing. In health, the issue in health, particularly where we are talking about KEMSA now, is actually, again, at the leadership at the top level. It actually starts with the Ministry of Health. It could be higher. I know that. It could be higher. But so long as people who are appointed, one, are not appointed on merit. Two, if they are appointed, what are the behind-the-scenes instructions when they are being appointed? Three, do we give professionals their due position in management of issues or other things like politics and business and interests take over? I think that is the issue in health from time immemorial.
Yeah.
Yes. So that when you talk of procurement, and again, a lot of it is around procurement.
Yeah.
That's what you have seen. Then the other one in health is human resource. Now, because you see, in treating people, you need the people who treat them, you need the equipment and the supplies that you treat them. If those are not in place in the health systems, those are very major health systems. Even when you go to infrastructure and equipment, again, the basic thing becomes procurement. So health is suffering from what every part of our system is suffering from, except that health is loud. It is loud for two reasons. It is an essential service. People need it. everybody needs health, so that if there's a problem, everybody feels it and feels it quickly. It's no way you can say, let me just wait, I'll do it later.
Yeah.
Two, in the health sector, the human resource, the personnel in health, are actually very well educated people. They are people who are very well organized. They are in unions. They are in associations. So they bring out issues very quickly. That is why you are seeing more strikes in the health sector than in other places. It's not that like in agriculture or in water there's no problem, but there are no organized workers. But the issue is actually the interaction between the professional aspect of our health systems and the management systems and the political system. The political system is at the top, and it interferes, it gets into the management, then it gets into the professional aspect, and eventually the services.
Okay.
I would say that is where the problem is.
Yeah.
I say that because, well, these people would judge this. I think we tried relatively well between 2003 all the way up to 2008. I can say because I was there, and I really never felt pressure. We did, like this nets issue. It's not new to me, because we had the same problem with nets at the time. The procurement.
What is the problem then?
Yes.
Because there's an issue in terms of changing the specifications.
But that one actually was sorted out at my level.
Yeah.
Not even, it didn't have to go to the PS. By the time we got to the PS level, we had sorted it out. There are interests. You see, in all systems, and health particularly, there must be somebody who is keen to protect the interests of the people. If you want to protect the interests of the people, you must be selfless. Because if you are not, then it will be very difficult to protect the interests of the people. So if the procurement, like say, health suffers from many things. If you talk of financing, it does not get enough money. The little they get, you have an issue. If you take of supplies, we talk of procurement. Again, huge interest in procurement. If you talk of the supplies, just the distribution, huge problem in the distribution of supplies. If you talk of regulation, well, regulation is not very profitable, but it still has a problem.
Yeah.
If you talk the management of human resource, that now is another big issue. In my view, these are things that can be done, but there must be commitment at the very top.
Okay.
At the very top. Let me just say it, starting with the presidency, and then at the ministry level, the minister, and then the PS, and then give the professional a chance.
Yeah.
The office of the Director General, what used to be the Director of Medical Services, that is really where the things are. If they have a hand, and those technical people are actually left to advise without people interfering, it will be okay.
Okay.
Now, we are talking here in this case of the requirements that were required, the specifications.
Yeah. Why was it necessary to change now that you've dealt with it?
Okay. It is just one insecticide against another insecticide. Whether you have pyrethroid or pyrethroid plus BPO.
Yeah.
So that should have been decided in 2019.
Okay.
Very fast action has been taken.
Yeah.
But there's something I'm still waiting to hear. Why was somebody finding it necessary 2-3 years later to change the specification? Long-lasting insecticide-treated nets. That was way back as 2005. By now, the country had agreed what are the nets that we use, the specification. Yeah. So I would want to know, why was it found necessary with these new changes? This was started with the last government.
Yeah.
Why was it found with this new government to... I find it hard to believe that it is this permanent principal secretary sitting in her house alone and then suddenly deciding for whatever reason that I'm going to change the specifications. There must be other guys.
Okay. Let me bring in the good one. What is ailing the health system?
Yeah. So what Dr. Nyikal did not tell you is that at the time he was at the helm, they had taken the right person. He had come from being the president of KMA, then chairman, and he therefore knew the health system. He is also an accomplished pediatrician. And therefore, when you put him in a position of power, with ability to incur expenditure, for instance, he'll incur expenditure in the right direction. He's also at such a level that he will not be influenced. It's difficult for you to push someone who has been in medical practice for long. That's beside the point. But what is ailing the system is what we call tax accountability. We file our tax returns every year. And if you don't, KRA will kill you. But when we file our tax returns, we do not get feedback on how our tax has been used. There is no accountability from government on that tax. Kenya Medical Association has always argued for a tax-based, public-funded model for universal health coverage. The government instead chose an insurance-based model, which, and the majority of Kenyans are in the informal sector. They are non-taxed and voluntary. And therefore, when you chose an insurance model, then you have already chosen a part of the community to tax. And hence the resistance to the housing fund, that will continue whether, because you have segregated. So tax accountability is a problem. And we say, how do you rope in the informal sector? Use a tax-based approach to finance health. Healthcare financing budget for healthcare, where does it come from? You are supposed to have a specific allocation of healthcare budgeting. And because there is no healthcare budget for that, we will come to what is the reason that hasn't been established yet. And maybe after the break, we'll go back to costing of healthcare. And therein lies the solution to healthcare issues that we're facing currently.
Before I take a quick break, let's hear what Davji has to say about this. Then we come and delve into the possible solutions. Davji, in your view, what is the problem with the health sector? What is ailing the health sector?
I think, Trevor, the reality is that there's no priority or prioritizing healthcare by those in office, the government, the ministry, and the counties. And I can tell you that the dysfunctionality of healthcare in this country has reached the rock bottom as we speak today. It has never been worse today than before. And why am I saying this? We have a time where, for example, the interns who are posted in January have not been paid, and we're in May. We are at a time that interns who graduated in August last year have not been posted. We are at a time where the workers in the counties have to rely on the banks to actually pay them salaries. That means that all those healthcare workers in the counties go to the hospitals knowing very well that there are no drugs in those facilities because the counties have not bought them. We are at a time whereby when you get into office as a matron in any of these facilities, the first visitors that you get to have are MPs and MCS asking you for tenders for those particular, for different services. So I think the first thing is that priority. There is no priority of the government, both the national and county governments, to have the healthcare functional. What they have really specialized on is what we call lip service. They talk about very good terminologies like universal healthcare. You'll hear these things of primary healthcare. You'll realize these things of primary health promoters. All those are very good terminologies that are being used. They're not new. If you look into the Almaty declarations of 1978, it was considered to be vague because it was not giving the specifics of healthcare or the things that need to have been done. So ideally, if we really want a functional healthcare, we will start from the budgeting aspect. We will start from ensuring that the human resource component of healthcare is functional. We will come to see that anybody who goes to the public hospitals, they don't have to, again, visit private hospitals to get care. And as we speak today, even those who are based in private healthcare cannot get care because we know what's happening in HIF. It is totally run down. I can tell you, Trevor, in the next 1 or 2 months, if something is not done, even accessing private hospitals to the Kenyans will be difficult because NHIF has no ability to pay them their debts. NHIF has been defunded. Treasury has not released over 30 billion. So it's an orchestrated process to actually make healthcare not work in the country, which means we have to put a deliberate effort to make the Ministry of Health not just to really react on issues, but to make things work. When you see this scandal that we've seen in KEMSA, it is just a mirror of all that's happening on all these other departments of healthcare. Meaning, if there were no donors to actually look at this process and see that this is not realized, then we will still it will not be reported. And look at this. This is 4.4 billion from the donor funds, from the global fund. How much from the 200 billion that goes to the Ministry of Health that is being pilfered around without us knowing where it has gone to? And that's why I think we get to see this problem that we see now. So corruption also is a very big problem that has entrenched healthcare to the core, from the top to down to the facilities, which again need to really be rated strongly for us to really see and have healthcare that is functional.
All right, let's take a quick break. When you come back, let's hear your thoughts in terms of how do we fix it going forward. Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag Daybreak. We're back in just a bit right after this break, all right?